A line becomes a river. Page 19, bottom of the text. Before we took the range one afternoon, the firearms instructor gave the class a PowerPoint presentation in a darkened room. Agents arrested more than 700,000 aliens on the border last year, he told us. If you think that's bad, when I first got to the field 8 years ago, back in 2000, the number was over 1.5 million, and I'm here to tell you that not everybody coming across that line is a good person looking for honest work. Our instructor beamed images of drug war victims onto a screen. Grisly photos of people killed by the cartels in Mexico. In one image, 3 heads floated in a massive ice chest. In another, a woman's body lay discarded in the desert, her feet bound and a severed hand stuffed in her mouth. The instructor paused on an image of a cattle truck with 12 dead bodies stacked in the back, all of them blindfolded and shot execution style. These 12 weren't gangsters, he told us. They were migrants kidnapped and killed for some meager and meaningless ransom. The next image showed a group of Mexican policemen shot dead in the street, and then an image of a bloodied body slumped in a car seat. A newly elected mayor who had promised to clean up the drug violence in his town shot dead on his first day in office. This is what you're up against, our instructor told us. This is what's coming. So far, 7 have quit, whittling our class down to 43. Sullivan left exactly 1 week after Santiago. I didn't know him, but his roommate said he complained a lot. Sarah, one of the only 3 women in the class, quit 2 days later, and no one knew why. She kept it to herself, everyone said. Galinsky went next, taking indefinite medical leave for a hairline fracture around his left knee. When I saw him at the computer lab the night before he left, I asked him what he would do when he got back home. He looked at me as if he didn't understand the question. I'll wait for my knee to heal, and then I'll come back to the academy, he told me. I had 2 tours in Iraq. I know I can do this job. Hansen quit after receiving a job from his hometown police department in Illinois. It pays almost as well, he told us, and I won't have to move my wife and kids. On Hansen's last day at the academy, Robles lined us up for the start of PT and had us stand shirtless while he measured our body fat percentage. Hansen stood next to me in this formation, and I saw for the first time the loose skin that hung from his waist. When Robles came to take his measurements, he glanced at the extra skin and then up at Hansen's face. How much weight did you lose? Robles asked. 180 pounds in a year and a half, said Hansen. Staring straight ahead, Robles nodded. Let's hope you never put it back on. Dominguez, Hart's roommate, was next to quit, dropping out after he failed his 3rd law test. For days, I wondered if I could have done more to help him pass. One night, Hart and I sat eating dinner together in the cafeteria. Why didn't you invite him to study with us? I asked. He was your roommate. You should look after him. Hart looked at me incredulously. Fuck you, he said, tossing his dinner roll onto his plate. Dominguez could have passed if he wanted to. He was too busy talking on the fucking phone all night. Listen, he said, Dominguez was smart enough to pass the U.S. citizenship test in high school, and he was smart enough to earn a bachelor's degree in construction management after that. You're not the only one who went to college. Hell, he was even smart enough to run his own construction business before the housing market went to shit. Did you know that? Hart picked up his dinner roll off his plate and ripped a bite. Instead of studying, he continued, Dominguez spent all his free time talking to his family, and it's sure as hell not my fault or anyone else's. I sat thinking for several moments. What did they talk about? I finally asked. Hart shrugged his shoulders. How should I know? He said. I don't speak Spanish. Mother flew in from Arizona to see me for Christmas. She picked me up from the academy on Christmas Eve, and we drove through the straw-colored hills, leaving behind the trembling Chichuan grasslands as we climbed into the evergreen mountains. We stayed the night in a 2-room cabin, warm and bright with pine wood. We sat in chairs around the living room table, decorating a miniature tree with tiny glass bulbs. Then, wrapped in blankets, we laughed and drank eggnog with brandy until the conversation finally descended into the discussion of my impending work. Listen, Mother said, I spent most of my career as a park ranger, so I've got nothing against you working for the government. But don't you think it's sort of below you, earning a degree just to become a border cop? When people ask you about when people ask about you back home, I tell them you're in law enforcement. They give me the strangest looks. I realize I don't know what more to tell them. I don't really understand what you want from this work. I took a deep breath. Look, I told her. I spent 4 years in college studying international relations and learning about the border through policy and history. You can tell whoever asks that I'm tired of studying, I'm tired of reading about the border in books. I want to be on the ground, out in the field. I want to see the realities of the border day in and day out. I know it might be ugly. I know it might be dangerous. But I don't see any better way to truly understand the place. My mother stared at me, blinking rapidly. Are you crazy? She asked. There are 100 other ways of knowing a place. You grew up near the border, living with me in the deserts and national parks. The border is our blood, for Christ's sakes. Your great-grandparents brought my father across from Mexico when he was just a little boy. When I married, I insisted on keeping my maiden name, so you'd always carry something around of your grandfather's family, so you'd never forget your heritage. How is that for knowing the border? I lowered my voice. I'm grateful for those things, I told her. But having a name isn't the same as understanding a place. I gestured toward the window. I want to be outside, not in a classroom, not in an office, not sitting at a computer, not staring at papers. Do you remember, I asked my mother, how you joined the Park Service because you wanted to be outdoors, because you felt you could understand yourself in wild places? My mother narrowed her eyes at me, as if I suddenly had changed the subject. It's not that different, I say. I don't know if the border is a place for me to understand myself. But I know there's something here that I can't look away from. Maybe it's the desert. Maybe it's the closeness of life and death. Maybe it's the tension between two cultures we carry inside us. Whatever it is, I'll never understand it unless I'm close to it. My mother shook her head. You make it sound like you'll be commuting with nature and having heartfelt conversations all day. The Border Patrol isn't Park Service. It's parliamentary police force. I glared at her. You don't have to tell me that, I say. I'm the one getting my ass kicked at the academy. Listen, I know you don't want your only son turning into some heartless cop. You're afraid the job will turn me into someone brutal and callous. Those people who look at you funny when you tell them I'm Border Patrol probably imagine an agency full of white racists out to kill and deport Mexicans. But that's not me. And those aren't the kind of people I see at the academy. Nearly half my classmates are Hispanic. Some of them grew up speaking Spanish. Some of them grew up right on the border. Some went to college like me. Some went to war. Some own business. Some work dead-end jobs. Some are fresh out of high school. Some are fathers and mothers with their own children. These people aren't joining the Border Patrol to oppress others. They're joining because it represents an opportunity of service, stability, financial security. My mother interrupted me. But you could work anywhere you want, she said. You graduated with honors. So what? I asked. This isn't necessarily a lifelong career choice. Think of it as another part of my education. Imagine what I'll learn. Imagine the perspective I'll gain. Look, I know you're not an enforcement-minded person, but the reality of the border is one of enforcement. I might not agree with every aspect of the U.S. border policy, but there is power in understanding the realities it creates. Maybe after 3 or 4 years, I'll go back to school to study law. Maybe I'll work to shape new policies. If I become an immigration lawyer or policymaker, imagine the unique knowledge I'll bring. Imagine how much better I'll be at the job because of my time at the Border Patrol. My mother sighed and looked up to the ceiling. There are ways to learn things that don't put you at risk, she said. Ways that let you help people instead of pitting you against them. But that's just it, I offered. I can still help people. I speak both languages. I know both cultures. I've lived in Mexico and traveled all across the country. I've seen towns and villages that were emptied out by people going north for work. Good people will always be crossing the border, and whether I'm in the Border Patrol or not, agents will be out there arresting them. At least if I'm the one apprehending them, I can offer them some small comfort by speaking with them in their own language, by talking to them with the knowledge of their home. Fine, my mother said, fine. But you must understand, you are stepping into a system, an institution with little regard for people. I looked away from her, and the silence hung between us. I glanced down at my hands and weighed my mother's words. Maybe you're right, I replied, but stepping into the system doesn't mean that system becomes you. I spoke. Doubts flickered through my mind. I smiled at my mother. The first job I ever had was bussing dishes with migrants from Guajanto. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I remember her. I'm not going to lose sight of that. I'm not going to become someone else. Good, my mother said. I hope you're right. We hugged, and my mother told me she loved me, and that she was happy I'd soon be working back in Arizona, closer to her. Before bed, we each opened a single present, as we'd done every Christmas Eve since I could remember. In the morning, we ate brunch at the town's historic hotel, feasting on a pot roast by crackling fire. Afterwards, we climbed the stairs to the narrow lookout tower where people huddled together in jackets, walking in slow circles to take in the view. Below us, a sunlit basin stretched westward from the base of the mountains. I watched as the landscape shifted under the winter light. Behind me, my mother placed her hand on my shoulder and pointed to the cloud of a gypsum sand in the distance, impossibly small, swirling at the desert below. At graduation, we stood before friends and loved ones in our campaign hats and full-dressed uniforms with iron-creased pant legs and shirt sleeves, our boots and brass buckles polished to the shine under the fluorescent light of the Academy's auditorium. Our instructors made speeches about the value of our training and the importance of our impending duties. We received awards, badges were pinned to our chest. We stood side by side and turned to face our audience, holding up our right hands as we stared steely-eyed at the room's pale walls. I do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and alliance to the same. That I will take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation on purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter, so help me God.